Are the Lions heating up at just the right time?
See, so this is one of those ones where it's like, I'm not ready to say yes yet because I still got to see the next week after this. But if they get, and then if this is another replication of what we saw this week, next week, I think I'm ready to say that, yeah, the Lions got hot at just the perfect time, which is what we were saying. I said last week, it was like they're either cooling off at just the wrong time and you're going to start falling apart and it's going to be the mess and the wheels are just going to fall off consistently, or they're going to bounce back at just the right time and the losing streak happened right when it had to happen and you had to go on a little, bump in the road right when it did. I think that we're leaning towards that was the case and that they're going to start getting hot right at the right time again, give themselves a shot on this playoff run.
5 touchdowns for Jared Goff. I think this was also a statement game for them. I think the Broncos have been one of those teams that have just been on a hot streak and with basically a team that you don't want to see. And the Lions didn't care. Like, they came in and put up 42 on the Broncos. And their run game, Jahmyr Gibbs is averaging 9.1 yards per carry. 185 yards on the ground on 28 carries between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Amon-Ra had a day. Laporta had a day. Laporta had 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. I think we're approaching, like, could Laporta possibly be Rookie of the Year?
No, we're getting to. Laporta is having genuinely a historic. We already knew having a historical rookie season. It is weird. Where it's probably never been a harder year to decide who's going to be the offensive rookie of the year. There's a lot of guys you could go with this year. This is definitely this is a tough one this year. But I think regardless of who that's going to. Side note, that's just a side note. The Lions as a whole, again, if they keep playing like this, it's going to be. Like the main note I had is Gibbs and Montgomery. And the O-line, when they combine like that, the Lions really can play with anybody.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like that line staying healthy, running back staying healthy, this team staying hot. The Lions, we knew, can compete with anybody. It's just a matter of keeping it hot. The hot Lions.
The hot Lions.
As was their OG label.
I think it's kind of fair to say that the roar has been restored.
I think it might be fair to say that roar has been restored.
I think it's been restored. I need to see them win a playoff game because my whole thing is I think the roar has been restored because they came from like garbage. So like to be 10-4 is impressive, and with a chance to be 13-4 if they win out the rest of these games. Even 12-5 is impressive. So the Lions came back. I think they showed us what we needed to see from this.
I think the Jeep ad is trying to show us.
Yeah, the Jeep ad is trying to show us something. But anyway, no, I think the Lions did what they did. They were on a little bit of a skid. They came back. They're fine. Like they put up 42. It's a statement game. Now, if you're a Broncos fan, are you any bit worried?
I think if I'm a Broncos fan, this was one of the ones where you start to say to yourself, obviously we're getting, things are starting to look, this one makes things a little bit more bleak. But then also, again, back to the classic schedule check. Look, you get the Patriots, Chargers, Raiders to close out. Like, hey, you definitely still got a fighting chance out there. Punch all 3 of them out, you got a real good chance. This one hindered it a little bit. Yeah, obviously hindered the Yoff's hopes a little here. And we're getting into really sketchy territory now where you kind of need the Texans and the Bills to lose a couple. You also would need, who else? You need the Colts to lose 1, 2. It's like, it's not even bleak's the right word. But now you're looking at like a 50-50 shot. It's like a coin toss if you're the Broncos to make the playoffs. But I'd say regardless of whether you make the playoffs or not this year, I think there's a lot of things you can hang your hat on that are very positive going into next season.
They built the culture this year. That's the most important part. This is going to really be the first year under Sean Payton. They had the free agency, they had the draft, but they put the culture in. They have their players. They're going to be able to work on that in the offseason. I would love to see the Broncos in the playoffs because I think a Sean Payton coach team, anything really could happen. But overall, the Lions had a good game and the Broncos did not.